You want to hear how a regular guy with nothing left to lose took down the most ruthless HOA president this side of the Rockies strap-in because the day Miranda Sterling parked her luxury SUV in front of my family's old cabin was the day I learned just how far a person will go when they think money buys everything. She built a $5 million mansion that swallowed the sky over my roof, turned my mornings into shadows, and used every sneaky legal trick in the book to force me. Ben Walsh, a half-deaf, broke-widowed retiree out of the place 4 generations of my family called home. She thought she had it all: high-powered lawyers, HOA cronies, and more cash than God. Only there was one little thing she didn't know about the lifeblood running under her mansion, the thing my family had quietly controlled for over a century. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up a sec. At 58, I'd figured I'd earned a quiet life, maybe even some peace after my wife Dorothy passed. My daily routine was pretty standard: wake up at 6, sip coffee on the deck. Dorothy loved read old engineering journals, putter around her garden, and try to make sense of the silence. Crystal Lake was a close-knit spot. 48 houses, a shiny blue lake mountain air, and an HOA that, at least on paper, just trimmed bushes and fixed potholes. Most folks had no idea my great-granddad built the original dam that turned this spot into paradise and secured water rights that made us, in our own quiet way, the gatekeepers of the whole show. Then came Miranda. The first time I saw her, the temperature dropped 10 degrees. She had that lawyer-look, expensive shoes, perfect hair, a smile so sharp it could cut glass. Just divorced from a mining exec, 20 million richer, and dead set on proving she belonged in the fancy circles that always shut her out. She dropped $850K on the highest lot and started talking about vision. The neighbors ate it up: property values, luxury living competing with Aspen. Next thing I know, she's elected HOA president by a landslide, promising millions in upgrades and a community where property values never decline. My vote didn't matter. The crowd only saw dollar signs. But Miranda didn't come for the lake views. She wanted what was under my house. I found out purely by accident, eavesdropping one afternoon as she bragged to her mining contact on the phone. Something about geological surveys, surface rights, and a gold mine nobody knew about. I started connecting dots, and let me tell you, it was like a cold hand grabbing my spine. She was after the lithium deposit under my land. Turns out, if she could kick me out, bulldoze my cabin, and build enough improvements, she could claim the mineral rights. A $50 million score. Only one problem: my little cabin was the legal roadblock in her way. That's when Miranda kicked off her campaign of misery. Suddenly, my natural wood cabin was a code violation. It had to be colonial white. My vegetable patch. Now an agricultural hazard. Every week, a new fine: $300, $500, or $800, all stacking up. My bank account was bleeding out, and the only thing keeping me together was the paperwork I found hidden in an old trunk: my great-granddad's water rights dam operation certificates, original blueprints, and the one golden ticket, a perpetual water authority clause that basically put the lake in my hands. I could, in a documented emergency, drain the whole thing, and nobody, no HOA, no fancy lawyer could stop me. Yeah, she built her empire on my foundation and didn't even know it. Miranda doubled down. She built that ridiculous 4-story mansion right over my backyard, extending her deck 15 feet into my airspace, blocking my sunlight, crushing my garden, and tanking my property value overnight. The noise was relentless. Cement trucks at dawn debris and Dorothy's flowers. Even my water pressure dropped to a trickle because her Mediterranean water garden sucked from the same system I controlled. But here's where her greed tripped her up. Every drop in her fountains, every gallon in her infinity pool came from the old dam my family built. The harassment never stopped. Fines, threats, and worst of all, whispers. Miranda spreading stories about my declining mental state after Dorothy died, turning neighbors into nervous ghosts who crossed the street rather than look me in the eye. It wasn't just about the house anymore. She wanted to destroy me. She nearly did. I fought back the only way I knew how, by documenting everything, installed cameras, recorded every interaction. And then the twist: I caught Miranda on tape, promising mining executives surface access through my land months before she even owned it. That was the proof I needed, but the law didn't care. The judge called it business speculation, not evidence. I was outgunned, outspent, and outmaneuvered. Legal fees wiped me out. Neighbors who'd shared beers with me for decades wouldn't meet my eyes. Only Maria, who brought food, and David, who offered storage for my stuff, stood by me. Packing up my life under the watchful eye of a sheriff, Miranda lurking with her fake sympathy, I snapped. While they inspected, I loosened a valve, pulled a stone from the dam spillway, and photographed the leak, setting the stage for a legal documented emergency. I hit rock bottom, sleeping in my truck at a truck stop, starving and alone, until one desperate night I found myself at Dorothy's grave, finally letting it all out. Her words echoed through the trees. Fight for what's right, not what's easy. That's when I remembered what I really had leverage. I started mapping every inch of the water system, recalculating the flows, timing the valves. With a nudge from my old engineering buddy Leonard, I realized that Miranda's $50 million mining deal needed more water than she'd ever get if I pulled the plug. And so, as her grand opening party raged on, as she toasted her success with champagne and laughed about my problem being solved, I filed my emergency maintenance forms with the state, then waited for dawn. D-Day. At 4 a.m., I started the slow bleed, quiet, controlled drainage, just enough to avoid suspicion. By breakfast, the water line was dropping fast. By the time Miranda paraded the Apex mining execs onto her deck, her infinity pool was a joke, her artificial lake a muddy crater, her whole empire circling the drain, literally. When she realized what was happening, she stormed the dam, screamed threats, called me a terrorist. I handed her the permits, the recordings, the proof. I told her, you wanted to extract value from this place. Well, congratulations. You just extracted yourself. The fallout was brutal. Property values cratered, the HOA panicked, the media went wild, and neighbors who'd cheered her on demanded blood. But the truth came out: her mining scam, her fake shell company, her trail of ruined lives across Colorado. The state and feds swooped in. RICO charges, wire fraud. Her bank accounts frozen, her law license gone. Her mansion went to auction, bought for peanuts by a conservation group, turned into an environmental center, teaching kids about corporate greed. Miranda, once a socialite, ended up working retail, court-ordered, to mop the floors of the building she lost. And me, I rebuilt. The wrongful eviction suit landed enough money to start over. I restored the lake, set up a trust, banned mining forever, and the community finally came together. Property values bounced back even higher than before, and the Crystal Lake story went nationwide. I wrote a book, gave talks, helped pass laws to protect other families from the same hell I'd lived through. But the best twist came years later, seeing Miranda scrubbing toilets in her old mansion, now a public learning center. She broke down, confessed. It all begged forgiveness. And I gave it, because sometimes you've got to let go of old pain if you want something new to grow. Justice isn't always about winning. Sometimes it's about making sure nobody else ever has to fight the same battle. So what do you think? Did I go too far, or was it the only way to save what really mattered? Drop your thoughts below. Ever had to stand up to someone who tried to take what you love? I read every comment, and trust me, you're not alone. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't destruction, it's making sure the story ends with something better than what came before.